All right, so it is one of those days where I have a lot to say, so it's going to be a mini rant, so please just bear with me. But I do want to talk about a couple of things. I felt a little bit inspired to have this video because I did have some interesting dialogue with people on my Instagram. So I want to talk about kind of polarization, misinformation, fact checking and fake news or whatever. So stick around for all that and more. It's Crystal with the Cash Compass. All right, welcome or welcome back. I am here to teach you all the things that you should have learned in school about money, but for whatever reason, they forgot to mention it. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell. We talk about everything from personal finance to investing into the economy. Let's get into it. All right, so on my Instagram and on my YouTube channel, I asked the question, do you guys think another shutdown would be beneficial? Right? To which on both platforms, it was an overwhelmingly no. But on Instagram, I had a very interesting conversation with this person who basically jumped in my DMs and was like, do you think saving lives would be beneficial? Which is obviously super passive aggressive and sarcastic, but I entertained the conversation because, I genuinely want to have an understanding of how people are feeling right now. I wasn't sure if more people felt like this would be the better thing to do, like we need to shut down again, we need to have everybody kind of go back into their houses, or is there another solution? Okay, so her and I talked back and forth, to which she was just really hell-bent on the idea that we all need to lock down again. She has, of course, a different perspective because she lived in China during the lockdowns. I feel like I'm giving a little bit too much of her personal information away, but whatever. So she had a different view on things, which I totally respect, right? But it just seemed like she was just not open at all to the other side of it, right? Her opinion was, let's shut down, and anything else outside of shutdown, like she just couldn't even process. And I think that is a huge problem that a lot of people suffer from. And that's why we can't really move in a lot of positive directions, because it's like people are just so shut down. No pun intended. And it just had me thinking about the whole concept of things being so polarized and how we're kind of groomed and conditioned to be polarized, right? To have complete opposites. Like people cannot understand that there is a spectrum. It's either yes or no. There's no gray area for some people. Like people just get kind of nervous when you just want to be in the middle of things, okay? And I want to discuss what I mean by that a little bit more. So most of mainstream media, whether it's social media or these news outlets, they are designed to be polarized. I am not saying that every single news outlet is polarized, but the main ones, your CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whatever, those are definitely polarizing, okay? Fox will never say anything negative about Trump, and CNN or what have you would never say anything negative about Biden or any other, Democrat candidate, right? They just completely polarize us. As far as the mask whole thing, like either you want to wear a mask or you don't, and it's like if you have an opposing opinion, people are ready to go right down your throat and like just give you complete hell for it, right? And whether it's masks, whether it's shutdowns, no matter what it is, like with this whole coronavirus going on, an overwhelmingly majority of people literally don't really know, right? They don't really have any real proof, real evidence on their stance. And it's funny because I'll watch people argue about this, going back and forth about whatever topic it is. I'm using masks as an example, but it's like you guys do realize that you're kind of doing one and the same thing, right? Like you heard something and you chose to believe it or not to believe it. So what I mean by that is like for this mask thing, for example, some people are just, they swear by it. They'll wear 2 masks, right? They'll be double masked up on a Sunday, protecting themselves, protecting their lives, protecting the lives of other people. And there's other people who don't believe in it. They're in Target rioting. They refuse to wear masks. Both of those people do not know whether or not masks are effective, okay? I am almost positive that an overwhelming amount of people have never conducted their own research on masks, right? Let's get a group of people, let's expose some to the coronavirus with a mask and some to the coronavirus without a mask, and let's see if the mask indeed is effective. Most people have not conducted that research, right? And of course, like I can't conduct that research, right? But most people also haven't even gone to go look for people who have conducted that research to corroborate it, to see what the factors were. Like no one really analyzes any study anybody has done, right? We've either been socialized or conditioned enough, right? They say it enough on TV. Anytime you go to the store, they're telling you to do it. You hear it enough to where it might become true to you. Or maybe you question everything. So you hear it enough to where you think the opposite, right? Like, this can't be for us because people aren't necessarily out for our best interest. Whatever your stance is, it came from a belief that you had. Normally, it didn't come from any actual evidence, any actual research on your own part, okay? And that's what I mean by both people, whether you are in support of wearing a mask or not, whether you're in support of a shutdown or not, both people are just speaking from their beliefs versus any actual facts, which is fine, right? Because in almost every situation, if you find something, if you can find support for something and you can find support against the exact same thing. And that's my whole point. Like, these things are extremely polarizing. There's never, or not never, but there's rarely people in the middle just trying to offer, a well-rounded opinion. And even if you were somebody that did look over the research and you did confirm that, okay, this person conducted this research, they were from Harvard or whatever, who's to say that they're not being motivated by money or bribery or something else to spit out a certain response, right? Or a certain conclusion that they've made. We really don't know anything. Like, everything is just based on hearsay, right? And you have to just kind of decide what resonates with you the best. And the problem lies where people are so stuck on their own opinion, they don't want to be open-minded to being wrong, and they don't want to be open-minded to, I guess, the true fact that people are not going to agree with you. And just because they don't agree with you doesn't mean that their opinion is irrelevant, or it doesn't mean that they should be disregarded, right? Because back to what I was saying in the beginning, I mean, this person that I was talking to on Instagram just was kind of like, just couldn't believe that I was, first of all, I didn't even, mind you, I never even said, I didn't even explain my stance. I didn't even say whether or not I was in support of a shutdown. I just asked a simple question. But me even just questioning it was just unbelievable to her. And she is not alone in that, right? There are plenty of people who could feel like, how dare you say that? Like, how could you not want another shutdown? Like, we have lost so many lives. And I get it. And I understand her stance. And I agree with people who say that. I just think that it doesn't have to be black and white, right? There should be some sort of spectrum. The whole shutdown is like a blanket solution for the pandemic, but it might create more problems than, what it was intending to correct, right? And another point that I actually saw being made multiple times, not even just from people on Instagram, but also on YouTube, some of my comments were like, oh, like the death rate is 2%. 2% of the US population is 6 million people. So do you want 6 million people to die? And I'm just like, no, I don't. Like, why would I want anybody to die? But let's also get real. 6 million is not the amount of people that would die. It's 2% of people who get the disease, okay? It's not 2% of the population. So people throwing around that 6 million number, it's like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of any sickness, virus, whatever, that has affected literally every single person and their mama, the babies, the cousins. Like, I don't know about any disease or anything that has struck every single person in the world. So for you to say 6 million people are going to die is also inaccurate, right? I mean, unless everybody gets it. And why can't we have constructive conversations about this? I think it's because we have been groomed to be at complete polar opposites and to always argue with somebody if they don't agree with you or something like this, right? So for example, you'll hear people going back and forth, like on, for example, Fox and CNN. Like, they'll just go at each other, right? Complete opposites and complete bashing, and just saying negative things about the other, right? The other party, just trying to create some sort of division between them. I rarely hear rational conversations or even see it. Like, every time I'm on social media or mainstream media in general, it's always arguing and bickering and sarcasm and passive aggression, okay? It's rarely thoughtful conversation. And why is that? We don't offer any communications classes in school, right? So the extent of your communication is taught either through your experiences with your family members or from what you're seeing on social media or mainstream media, whatever, what have you. So if you can't afford to get a therapist who's going to teach you how to communicate effectively and how to work through your problems, your only exposure is what you've been exposed to, which is normally, at least on the mainstream media, never constructive. It's always kind of just black and white. They have to pull you to a side. You got to pick a team. You can't just kind of be in the middle. You can't, agree with both sides. I mean, it's just like illegal for some reason. And that just becomes annoying because it's like I really wanted to have a good conversation with multiple people. And that's why I always tell you guys, please talk to me. I don't want to talk to myself. I always read the comments and I always try to respond as much as I can because I enjoy talking to you all. And I love when we have different opinions because we actually communicate great around here. Like, I rarely get comments that are disgusting or like people are not trying to communicate effectively. Even if someone disagrees with me, they always disagree in such a classy way, which is why I love talking to you guys. But that's just not the reality when you step outside of certain areas, right? Certain people are ready to fight you and just start talking bad about your moms, right? Because of a disagreement that you guys had. And like I said in the beginning, ultimately, we're just all doing the same thing, right? We're all just going by our intuition, like how we feel, what resonates with us. So you might miss an opportunity to teach somebody about how you feel, or maybe even open up their eyes because you're choosing to be negative and nasty as opposed to just expressing yourself in a, relaxed way, self-controlled way, right? Don't just come at me and like start talking bad about me or talking bad about America as a country or whatever. Just communicate effectively. We can have so much more growth that way when we understand that there are two sides to every single thing. Just because you agree with something doesn't mean everybody else has to. Even if the majority of people agree with something, the other people still have a valid opinion and they should still be heard out. I read something in this book that I really liked, and I forget which book it is, but it was basically like, you shouldn't compromise, right? Because compromise is kind of meeting in the middle. You should kind of meet at the top. Was it 7 effective habits of whatever? Anyway, and I really, really like that, right? Because compromise means like you guys kind of both lose something, right? I give up a little bit of this, you give up a little bit of that. But when you meet up top, it's like the best of both worlds. And I think that if we were all able to communicate better, stop being so polarizing, we could meet at the top, right? Because I think right now, what they're trying to suggest is like, okay, everybody shut down. That's a compromise, right? Like, I'm allegedly giving up some of my freedom in hopes to kind of get freedom later on in life. But maybe meeting somewhere at the top would be, okay, let's try to figure out something for the generation, or not generation, but the people who are a little bit more susceptible to this virus, right? Is there a way for us to maybe protect those that are more susceptible, who have pre-existing conditions, that will allow them to still be protected, but also give people who are maybe not as concerned about the virus, maybe who they think they have a great immune system, right? They spend time building up their bodies. They're in good health. They need to be out there making money, right? They don't want to be locked up in the house. They want to go out there and produce. They want to be innovative. So let them go out there, right? Let them take those chances because they feel like they can. Don't just try to put everybody into this one box and say, all right, everybody's going to shut down, right? And that's how we would meet at the top, right? Because the people who want to go out there, go out there. People who don't, let's try to figure out a solution that makes sense for you. Maybe more contactless deliveries. I don't know what the right solution is, right? But that's meeting at the top. And I think that would be super effective. But let me know what you guys think about being polarized. Also, let me know what you guys think about what I said earlier as far as us not really knowing for a fact, right? We're just kind of all using our intuition, whether we know it or not. We're just going based on what resonates with us. Do you guys agree with that or not? Let me know because I want to hear from you. But that will do it. If you like this video, then please like this video and share it with your friends. And if you have anything else going on, you know what to do. Go ahead and binge watch me. And until next time, keep your money up.